We are live.
Because there is a delay between Facebook button smashing and when Facebook actually says we're live, I'm going to wait like a few seconds to say, hey, we're live. So welcome to the Horror Syndicate Discourse Live. And we're here today. We're going to talk about Phantasm. I'm coming to you from St. Louis. The gateway to the West is now the gateway to the best horror podcast. Right? Right? Who's amped like I am today?
Good God.
Check. I mean, I got my shirt. Jared's got his shirt. Nate is not wearing it, but he has his shirt.
Yep.
Ready for some Discourse Live for some Phantasm. So go ahead, pull out your mobile device, watch us on your laptop, whatever you're watching it on. This will be on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube, where all these episodes and more stuff are going to be coming. And don't forget, if you're live with us on Facebook, comment, and we will talk and read about your comments. That didn't make sense. We'll read your comments and talk about them live on the air. And tonight we've got the same cast as normal. We've got Cage the Keith. So this is also going to be audio, so maybe say something.
Hello.
Okay, there we go. We've got going strong since 2016, Jared Letourneau.
Yay!
Okay. Seth, how are you today?
Never better.
Never. Got yourself a beer tonight?
Been a rough day.
That voice did not sound never better.
Let's have a drink. Let's have some fun. Cheers to you, buddy. And then we've also got Nator, Nathan Thomas Milliner here. Nate made us some awesome trading cards, and we are eventually going to print them out. And if we ever get to go to a con again, maybe we'll pass them out to everybody, and you can see our ugly faces. Who knows? Anyway, I'm excited to be here. I hope you guys are too, even though my sleep is all jacked up. I don't know about you guys.
Yes.
I slept through most of the day, I'm not going to lie. And I watched Phantasm yesterday. I fell asleep watching. I've seen it enough. Fell asleep watching it, and I wake up, and my daughter, she's like, you missed the best part. I'm like, what? And then I look, I'm like, why is Phantasm 2 on? She's like, oh, I just put it in. I'm like, okay. So I can't blame her. She sat and watched the first 3 with me last night or yesterday, and
she's a Phantasm Netflix. Are you still watching?
No, she put the disc in. I mean,
yeah, I know.
You know,
I'll say she's her own Netflix. She's just putting in Phantasm movies for you.
She knows what to do. Anyway,
yeah, I had to turn that setting off of Netflix where it like immediately starts like the next episode. And it plays those previews behind every thumbnail. Like, come on, if I want to watch the preview, I will watch it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No.
I used to know that annoyed the shit out of me on Netflix.
You're awake and you're 12 episodes deep.
Yeah.
It's annoying when they ask, I have to admit, it's annoying when they say, are you still watching?
It is, but it's nice when you fall asleep and you're not 12 episodes deep when you wake up.
You know who doesn't do that is Hulu. Hulu does not do that. You have to, like, I've lost track because I was watching something in bed and fell asleep. Anyway, Phantasm is not on any of these streaming services. It is on Shudder, though.
Yeah, it's on Shudder.
Shudder, all of them. Yeah.
Well, except for 2. They didn't get the rights to Phantasm 2, right?
Oh, yeah. I had to pull my DVD out for that, yeah.
And that's always a good thing. Physical media is not dead yet, people.
I don't know.
Anyway, we're here to talk about Phantasm. Our love. What was that sign I saw? Laterno family what?
Oh, God. Yeah. Never mind. You don't need to see that.
Oh, God.
So if you are listening at home, you can, or wherever you are, I guess, you can watch us on Facebook, because that's where all the antics happen. And if you hear us talking about something, you won't get to hear it or see it on your mobile device. Anyway, so everybody get a chance to watch Phantasm?
Watched all 5.
I know you watched all 5. How'd that go?
The last one made me very angry.
Why?
Because it was like this giant epic of all these movies and this continuing story over like years, and then the last one like doesn't really explain anything, and then they ruin it with terrible CGI. And like the spheres look better in the 70s. Why? It looked fine. Why break it?
That's a good point. They did. I mean, I believe they used actual models for spheres in every movie except for the last one.
Yeah.
But Phantasm is the longest running horror series of all time. Did you know that?
You're just talking about
1979 to 2016. Whoa.
Okay, you just mean from span
Just
of
because
years.
we haven't had anything
It's the
else.
longest
Yeah.
continuous with no reboot or anything like that.
Okay, I get what you're saying now.
Yeah. What is that noise?
I don't know.
Sounds like a fly farting.
It does. It's a flyby. First experience. So we got a question already. What is our first experience watching Phantasm? We'll go to Keith first since he just recently watched it.
I saw Phantasm before. I just watched the whole series, and it was with Joe Bob, but I didn't remember anything about it because I was at work watching it. So I'm just going to say this was my first experience watching all of them because I was actually, fully paying attention and trying to understand what in the hell is going on, which are still things I still don't understand whatsoever.
If you could put it on a 10-point scale or a 5-point scale, what would you give it?
The first one, I would give it, I don't know, probably a 3 for me. I feel like they gradually got better. Like I liked 2 more than 1, 3 more than 2, 4 more than 3,
Really?
and then the last one was the worst one for me. I think it was just because they got more story and more context as they went. Like there was more substance and like meat to chew on. There was just more going on.
You like that meat, huh?
Yeah.
Off the bone.
A 3, I guess that's not terrible. It's somewhere in the middle. Hey, Seth, what about you? What was the first time you remember watching Phantasm?
I believe I was in high school. There was a video store that during October, it would be $1 rentals for the entire month, and
I remember
I would
those.
just go there and come out with a stack. And one of them was Phantasm. I didn't even hear anything about it before then. And then I was at home watching it, and I know my dad came home from work, and he's like, "Oh, Phantasm, that's an awesome one," and I agree.
I like your dad. He sounds good, and if he's saying Phantasm's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Jared?
It probably is same with Seth. Probably in high school at some point because I used to work at a grocery store that had a video store in it, and I would just take movies home. Like I didn't even have to rent them as long as I brought them back. The dude was like, "Yeah, just bring them back. It's fine." Yeah, I definitely probably would have been in high school, and I watched it again today, the remastered version that J.J. Abrams did.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks great. Like it's the DVD, not the Blu Ray, but even the DVD version looks great.
Yeah, I just watched my Blu Ray set that Wellgo USA, I think that's what they are. They put
Wellgo.
out,
Mm-hmm.
and like, because when I watched it on Joe Bob compared to this Blu Ray, it is absurdly different. Like it's so crisp.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job with the transfer because I have the Wellgo USA and the original release, re-release, I should say, from 2017.
I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5.
I did a review on it on the website on thehorrorsyndicate.com. If you go there, for me, I saw it in high school. Same thing, video store. When I turned 16, I was able to get a membership to Hollywood Video, which they had all the old movies were $1, and I just started with the A's and went down the list 10 at a time for every weekend. You get them for 5 days, and eventually I got the Phantasm. And I'll be honest, man, I didn't know what the hell was going on throughout the whole movie. And there was a lot of confusing parts. I remember liking it when it came down to it, mostly because of the characters. The tall man is really cool.
Yeah, it just throws you right in.
Yeah, I really, really love. I think Reggie is probably one of the best horror heroes out there. I mean, everybody's going to say Ash immediately, but I think Reggie deserves a lot more respect than he gets.
He's so fun.
He
That's
is,
fair.
and he's an ice cream man. I mean, come on, plays a great song in the middle of the movie. I don't know. I really like
sitting
the
here
characters.
at midnight,
We don't have the rights to that song.
sitting till noon.
But anyway, yeah. So it was the mid '90s. I didn't touch it again until the 2016, Blu-ray release, and nothing against it. It just kind of fell off my radar. I always knew it was there, but 2016, and then I watched it with Joe Bob when he did the show on Shudder, and I kind of fell back in love with it. And my daughter watched it, obviously, and she's going to be telling people, I watched Phantasm when I was 5 years old, and I learned how to say boy, really, and she does a good job. It's on my Twitter, or my Instagram. And it's super cute, because she's, she wants to be the tall man for Halloween, so I got to figure out how to make her balding, and
She's incredibly short too. So
yeah, she's
short. Tall
all I
man.
need to do is do what they did in the movie, was give her a suit that's too small. Because they made Angus look taller by putting him on a tiny suit. So
I know, like whenever he would try to run, it looks like his pants were gonna rip out.
I mean, where's the flood?
You make
it was Don's father's suit, and they retailored it to fit him because of
Yeah.
the budget. And they get it like
Oh,
I think his shoes had like 3 or 4 inches added to them because he's about
Mhm.
6'4", and I think it made him 6'6", 6'7".
I was wondering if he had lifts.
Yeah, Joe Bob said he was the cool thing about Angus was he met him at a convention, and they're the same height, but for some reason he's like standing next to him, he felt like he was much taller than me, but saw the picture, they're the same height. And another reason why I think he looks tall is he's so thin also. But anyway, the tall man was always one that kind of I stayed away from, because he creeped me out. But apparently he was a gentle soul. Nate, what about you? What's your first memories of Phantasm?
I honestly don't
If you can
remember.
recall.
Yeah, it would have been like 88, 89 on THS.
Around Phantasm 2 time?
Yeah, because I didn't get into horror deeply until the second one came out, 88. And I may even seen the second one before part 1. I don't remember, because the series never clicked with me like strongly, so I don't have any like vivid memories of when I saw it the first time. But it was one of those things in '88 where I just started going to the video store, renting everything like you talked about, whatever looked good. And of course, Phantasm was one of those. Like, since Phantasm 2 was coming out that year, or came out that year, I was aware of that series because of that, probably. So I probably rented it 89, 90, something like that.
Yeah, it sounds like it was all around high school time for most of us, except for Keith. But he's a little different from the rest of us.
Which is fine.
Yeah, different generation.
Well, yeah, and plus, again, the generation of the video store was about gone by the time you were in high school anyway, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much it was dying out when I was in high school. I still remember going to video stores and getting VHS, but I was really young then. Blu Ray was in Blockbusters when it was closing, so.
Really? I didn't know they ever got the Blu Ray.
Yeah, because when Blockbusters closed around here, I went and bought a lot of Blu Rays.
That was one of the things as a horror fan that I always loved was Blockbuster, or for any of them really, would have previously viewed movies for pretty cheap, and I bought a lot. I still have the stickers on some of them.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah, that's a whole another show, I think, talk about renting videos and stuff, because that was one of my favorite things to do growing up. Was if I didn't have to work that weekend, because I worked at KFC, my first job. Well, technically I umpired first, but anyway, if I wasn't working, I was going spending $5-10, whatever it was, on 10 movies, and that's what I was doing that weekend. And yes, I had a girlfriend. She just got ignored. What are you gonna do? Horror is a little bit more important, I guess. We didn't get married, okay? We didn't get married. What can I do? So
we got another comment from Facebook land.
Please.
Nick Wood asked, "What is our favorite scene in all of the Phantasm movies?"
In all the Phantasm movies?
Yeah, the whole series.
Oh, let's go around and see if we can drum up a favorite scene. How about starting with Seth?
My favorite scene is from Phantasm Oblivion. When Jody
Before?
shows Mike the origin of the tall man, when Morningside goes through the beams and he comes back and he's not Morningside anymore, just the way the music was, and I don't know, I just love that scene. It really stuck out for me.
Okay. Nate, you got a favorite scene? How many of them did you watch all of them?
I've seen. I don't think I saw Ravager.
I haven't seen Ravager either.
Ravager's weird.
I've seen the others. I mean, I really like the scene where we first see the ball in the sphere in the first movie, where it gets the groundskeeper, the caretaker, whatever, and the tall man chases him into the room and slams his hand in the door and cuts his fingers off.
Oh, yeah.
And down, and I love the one in the second one where the guy's attacking them and the ball gets him in the hand and starts drilling and he cuts his hand off to get away from the other one. I mean, it was a cool thing. I remember that. So I mean, that's really one of the coolest things about the Phantasm films are those spheres. And so the first time seeing those things is like the thing that really stands out about the films to me.
Yeah.
It's so unique.
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently they were a bitch to work with, according to Reggie. Jared, you want to go next?
It's been a while since I've seen any of the sequels, but I did just rewatch the first one today, and mine's kind of a vanilla response. But when Michael pulls his hand through the portal and he actually sees what's going on the other side, it immediately piques your interest about what's going to happen, even though they don't really go into it anymore in that film. Yeah. But that was a scene that I always think of as like, what is going on over there? What is going on?
I just wish that little exposition afterwards was better handled, because it's like they need to scrush them down because of the gravity, and it's hot. And I'm like, where's he getting all this shit
right
from?
It doesn't explain anything.
and it's like it sounds like they just been smoking a joint for like, man, they crushed him down and it's hot.
Did Cheech and Chong write this movie, or?
Yeah, it's like, this sounds like a really tripped out, like a scene with Roy Cochran and Days of Confused talking to like dollar bills and shit. Great, man.
Behind every great man, there's a woman, man.
And like, and everybody's like, and Reggie's like, yeah, that makes sense, dude.
Yeah.
It's just funny. Like, I just like, it felt like it was written. I know he's 23 years old, which is what's really impressive about the movie.
Ascarelli was?
Yeah, he was only a kid when he made that movie. It's his third movie. He made the first movie when he was 17.
And he directed the Beastmaster and killed everything. Yeah.
But when that scene came up and Mike starts talking about what he saw, like, that is just the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard.
It's a good scene. I think all of these movies are filled with just really cool scenes. Keith, do you have one before I jump in?
I think it's from Phantasm 2, because I believe it's the different actor playing Mike. But he goes to he finds that girl that he keeps dreaming about, and the tall man worm comes out of her back.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just because it's an effect shot, but I really liked it.
I think, without a doubt, my favorite scene is when Reggie gets his head licked in 2. Some Reggie head love. That's always a great scene. I mean, it's not really, but there's so many great scenes that come to mind with Phantasm in general. There's a scene in part 3 that I really it's the end. Okay, when Reggie's pinned against the corner with all these
they're all holding him up,
and then they pull the boy that you never see again through the window. I love parts of 4 because they used, and we talked about it a bit last night on our meeting, where they used footage they did not use from the first movie, which I thought was awesome. And I kept thinking to myself, why didn't they add this in to the old movie? It would have made the first movie a little bit better.
The original cut was like 3 hours long. It was just way.
I would watch that. I don't know if I'm crazy or what.
I mean, think about it. They cut half the movie's gone. Because
would it make more sense?
No, I mean, the thing about the movie, and I don't I hate to be critical, but the movie is so when you hear about, they didn't have a full script. They made things up as they went, and it's almost purposely doesn't make sense. Even the cast crew's like, I don't know what the fuck we're making. I don't know what. And it does feel like that. It feels I kind of feel like all the stuff he cut out was unnecessary stuff. They feel like scenes put together. So I don't know if they lost anything. I mean, luckily they were able to salvage it, and they still had it to use in Part 4. I think they compared it, like he beat Richard Linklater to Boyhood before Boyhood did, because he had all that footage from '79 that they cut out. But apparently I think more of the film, it was more of an ensemble film where Reggie and Jody and all them were as main characters as Mike was. But they cut it down to where it's Mike's the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was my thing when I was watching 4. I didn't comprehend, like, if they had all these movies planned out and filmed those scenes, or if they were just uncut, unused stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they had that planned.
Experience different endings and different ideas and different.
Well, I don't think he planned on making the second movie.
No,
they got a lot of money and they made a second movie, and the studio wanted to recast Mike with the.
I was going to say it was an independent success for how low budget it was.
Just I want to throw this out there. Mike, the guy who plays Mike in the second movie, he also was in an episode of Friends as a guy who wrote erotic novels for children, or erotic books for children.
Fuck?
Yeah, it's creepy. He hits on Phoebe, and
he did a lot of stuff. I can't remember all. Like, he's one of those character actors that I remember seeing a lot. I think he was in like Young Guns 2. I think he's the one I want to say he's the one interviewing Billy the Kid in the beginning.
Oh yeah, he might be.
Something. He's in a lot of like things like that. I remember him popping up. Like when I saw Phantasm 2, I recognized him when it came out.
I didn't see Phantasm 2 after I had seen him on Friends. Like, oh my God, that's that guy who writes the perverted books for the kids. He's forever going to be etched in my head as that guy. They're wildly inappropriate, unpopular, whatever he says.
Sean's comment on Facebook, he's making me chuckle. And he's seen where Reggie Bannister scores.
Which doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen at all.
Poor Reg never gets the girl.
The one in Part 3 cracks me up when he's trying to hit on the chick and she like handcuffs him to the bed.
My fiance was watching that one with me, and she was like, "Please tell me she handcuffs him and just leaves him."
Oh.
But no, he doesn't get laid out of any of them, if I recall.
No.
One of them is a dream, but I'm just like, the tall man is literally cock block Reggie for like 30 years.
He has no Tom Atkins game, you know.
He doesn't.
He needs a Miller Lite.
You know, it's funny you say that. Scott Montgomery, one of our followers, said that we should do the hottest women in horror. Maybe we should do the hottest men of horror. Just saying. Anyway, thanks for commenting, Nick. Nick Wood. Make sure you use the person's name there, Keith, please.
I said Sean.
And I'm talking about the comment before.
Oh, did I not say his name?
No, you did not.
Oh.
Let's get on the ball here. It's Tuesday.
Get your poop in a group.
I poop in a group.
Yeah, Jeremy Tidwell says Reggie kicks ass. That 4-barrel shotgun rocks in the second one. I think he uses it more than once. He also wields chainsaws. Reggie's a badass character. He wasn't that bad. I mean, he was wearing a white suit through the first movie, you know, and he does that and with a black vest, I think, right?
Yeah, he's got his little fancy bow tie.
He's so stylish. There was I hate to say this, but the Phantasm movies, when you watch them in order, they are like all together, they bleed together, and so I'm having trouble.
3 and 4 blurred together as one movie to me.
Yeah, I can
like
see.
Scenes
I didn't get to
from
watch.
it anyways.
I didn't get to watch much of 4, but how many people didn't know that the lady in lavender is the tall man?
I picked
Did everybody
that.
understand that?
I understood that immediately.
Okay, I know there's not a lot of people. The first time I saw it, I was like, boobs immediately. And then it turns into the tall man. I was like, well, that ruined that.
Yeah, and then the first time you see it, like you're like, Jody, you're making out with a tall man.
I know.
right now.
That's where I was going. I was going to say that. I'm like, God, Jody, if you knew what we know as an audience, you'd feel as queasy as me. The fortune teller in the first movie always kind of threw me off as well. I don't know. I guess that I think parts of me and like kind of to go with what Nate was saying about maybe he was high. Maybe he was.
No, I think it's just he was inspired by Salvador Dali's the film he made in the 20s was of course surreal as hell. So he was like he was doing that stuff, but I don't know. I just feel like he was again I think his whole goal was just to scare people.
Yeah,
that's what really inspired it was that he
Un Chien Angelou, was that what it was called?
Yeah, he
the cow eye.
Yeah, he did.
Gross.
We did Kenny and Company, the coming of age movie. That was his second movie, and in it, there's the whole movie's about the days leading up to Halloween. They go to a haunted attraction. There's a scene where is it Pepperman, the guy that was his producer? He comes over and scares a kid, and when they were watching it with audiences, Don noticed everybody jumping, and it made him excited because he was used to people laughing, but to see people scared and jumped, he thought, hey, I'd like to try that. And so I think the whole point of the movie is just because it does. The film feels like a constant set piece to scare you or to make you jump. And that's why I think that's where the weakness of the first film is. It does feel like it's a bunch of great ideas, great scenes, classic scenes, but things don't make sense. Or they're not executed well. Again, it goes to his experience, his age. It's not so much the budget because said it was a $300,000 budget, which is because when I read about the making of it, it sounds like the movies that I've made. Like it feels like the sets that I've worked on and other people that I know work on, where people are working on deferred payment or for free. I love that the mortuary in the first movie is just like, it's just cheaply constructed. It's one hall. And the marble is just contact paper that you would put in your cabinets.
Is that the one that Reggie worked at in real life? Because he worked at a Morningside mortuary. Because he mentioned that when he was talking to Joe Bob, they used Morningside based on the one that he worked at when he was younger.
Yeah, like the Morningside was the original title. It was the title for the film.
Phantasm is much better.
Phantasm came out later. They got that from Edgar Allan Poe because Edgar Allan Poe used to always use that word a lot in his stuff. But the mortuary, or the part with the marble room and all that hallway, it was they built one hallway and then a little end cap, and they just moved stuff around to make it look endless. These camera tricks where you put the camera, how you edit it. But what's funny is that it was built in a warehouse, and it was, again, the marble is just, it's wood with contact paper that you'd put in your cabinets to line your cabinets with. It's like it's not real.
You can kind of tell by how non-glossy it is. It's not shine.
Still very, very effective.
Yes, it is.
But what's so funny about it is because the way they talk about how low budget, how much they didn't have money, and I'm thinking, all right, $300,000. I looked it up in '77. That would be like $1.2 million today.
Jesus.
Holy fuck.
It's like I haven't made anything with $1.2 million where people aren't getting paid and everybody's working for free and most people aren't actors or professionals. So, but I do respect that it was made that way. It's very grassroots, and people were working for him because of his enthusiasm, Don's spirit and his enthusiasm for the project. But yeah, but the whole movie does feel like it was kind of made up as they went, which is what I hear. Like I think some of the actors said they never even got the full script or the finished script, or they say, "Hey, we're filming this today, and we're going to do this today," or. Yeah. So the film kind of feels that way, and when I went reading reviews, I wanted to see what critics say, and a lot of people said that. Roger Ebert said that. It says it's got a lot of originality and genius, but it's not well made. It definitely got better between then and the second movie.
It's made more
years to make it, right?
Huh?
It took them a couple years to make it, right?
Yeah.
He's talking
Yeah,
about
about
how
a year.
I was gonna say that's why you can tell the like haircut differences with Jody. And
yeah, but he
Michael.
was also talking about the little midget people and how he came up with that idea. And then in '77, when Star Wars was
Star Wars was coming
released,
out.
Okay, is that where he got that from?
no, he didn't take
No,
it from Star Wars. He was working on the project prior to Star Wars coming out, and then it came out, and he was like, "Well, fuck it, what can we do?"
Okay.
He got really, yeah.
Because the whole time I was watching it, every time they popped out, I was going like, Houdini! Every time they pop out, it was great.
It's one of those horrible things that happen sometimes where it's like
Yeah, it's like
you
Friday.
you got your movie ready to come out, and then you see like a big movie do the same thing you just did, and it's like, God damn it! Like,
Well, it's like Friday 13th Part 2 and like Elephant Man with the sack mask.
Sack
well, I
over
mean,
his
the
head.
sack thing was done before that. You had
On the dreaded sundown.
and
Yeah, but
the
Elephant Man
hockey
was the
mask had
reason.
been done before.
The Elephant Man was the reason they changed it, though.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think that was in the Crystal Lake Memories doc, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember that.
Sounds strange, doesn't it? Yeah, I remember
Well, they said they didn't want people thinking Jason was the guy from Elephant Man because Elephant Man wasn't really. It was more of like a sappy drama movie, so they wanted to change his mask for that reason. I don't know. Now we're getting off topic.
Well,
Shut
it
up.
came out in 80.
All right, go ahead. You guys talk. I'm gonna look that up.
Well, I remember like that shit happens. Like when we did Girl Number 3, I wrote that in 2005, and we filmed it in 2008, early 2009. And the main girl is in a French maid costume. It's all bloody. It's all battered. It's tattered. It's on Halloween, and we're in post. We're editing. We got like 2-3 months before we're premiering, and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 trailer comes out, and there's Laurie Strode in a French maid costume, covered in blood and tattered. And I'm like, great. And then the end of the movie where she's got the Myers mask on. At the end of my movie, she puts the killer's mask on. I'm like,
You son of a bitch.
Or which movie was this?
Girl Number 3. Yeah, they're like, and what's so funny is I was when we premiered the show at Horrorhound Weekend. Scout Taylor Compton was there, and one morning I wrote down we had the costume on a mannequin to put on the booth, and Scout in the elevator down with me. And I had it in my daughter's baby stroller, the mannequin with the costume on. And I remember Scout was looking at it. She goes, "Her eyes are so pretty." like she's probably thinking, "Y'all just ripped me off my movie." But yeah, we had already had it filmed and everything when that trailer came out. I'm like, damn it, they're gonna say I ripped off Rob Zombie. But it happens, and that like Seth said, that was they were filming. They had already filmed it when Star Wars came out. The trailer came out, and there's other things like that. I think there's a few other kind of parallels, and there's a lot of Star Wars in Phantasm. I think.
It looked more like yogurt's little whatever they're called in
Ding
baseball.
ding.
I know he
Ding ding
Yeah, it
ding
was.
ding
he
ding.
was really inspired by 2001. The scene, the room where the portal and all that is inspired by 2001.
I can see that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Made him want to be a filmmaker. There's some other things that were inspiring to him on this film. I'm trying to remember what it was.
There's a point that somebody just pulled up that JJ used the word phantasm for Captain Phasma, and the armor is
Yeah.
based on the spheres, which is really cool for and the Force Awakens. So it kind of goes both ways.
What?
I can't look at this book and try to talk to you guys at the same time.
So I have a question about Phantasm because I didn't understand. Is the first movie actually a dream or not a dream? Because Reggie gets stabbed and then there's never him recovering from a stab wound. But then it's like it's not a dream, but it is a dream. And
I don't think it's. I don't think there is an answer. I think Don kind of left it.
Well, there wasn't supposed to be a second one, so it left up to your imagination, I guess.
I guess.
I mean, because obviously Reg is back. I mean, he's kind of the anchor of the series. He and the Tall Man of the rest of the series. It's Reg's series essentially, in my opinion. Always trying to save Mike or find Mike. So I don't think that counted. I don't know. It's the final act in the first Phantasm movie is so bizarre and so I don't understand it still, and I've seen that movie probably 10 or 15 times in the last 4 or 5 years, really trying to understand the ending of that movie, because it's a dream. When Mike wakes up, Reg is downstairs and Jody's dead, right? Yep. Spoiler alert. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert.
In a car crash.
Yeah, and then they decide to leave, and it's I don't know. I don't know what's a dream and what's real. I mean, but we know that Reggie lived and Jody didn't. So
and it's like that for the rest of the series too. Like you
exactly.
Don't know. Like every time I watch it, I always, in my mind, I'm always like, well, did Jody die in a car crash or was he killed by the tall man?
Yeah.
Well, he becomes a sphere, kind of, and was it the third one?
What was it? It was in the third one where Jody comes back and he tells Mike that the tall man killed him. And then in the fourth one, Mike says no. Mike tells Reggie no. Jody died in a car crash.
Yeah, and then also in the fourth one, and then also in the fourth one, when Jody gets killed, he's like, "I died in a car crash."
Yeah.
Even though he said that Tommy killed him, so.
Yeah.
and then Reggie saves Mike from the end of the first Phantasm and Phantasm 2, but then that's a dream. And then Reggie's family dies in a house explosion, but then that's a dream. So
Gabriel Diaz says Revenger clears lots up as clear as mud, but clearer than that.
Yes, he's talking about Ravager. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the series isn't over. Maybe there's one left. We have to ask Reg if there's one left to do.
I don't want it unless they don't do what they did with Ravager.
Dude, it would make the series more than 40 years old, the longest running series. I think it'd be great to have one last movie. The only problem is you can't have Angus because he's gone. He died shortly after the filming of the last movie.
Yeah, you can't do it without the tall man.
They can go back to that little dream sequence in, is it 3 or 4? But Mike becomes the tall man.
4.
Yeah. They could do something like that.
That's where I thought they were heading, because like the whole time it was, like it seemed like the tall man was grooming Mike for something, and it kind of almost like the profile of him when he's driving the hearse, just his his mouth, the way it comes out, it almost kind of resembled Angus.
Yeah.
And then again, I mean, they could use digital effects. Just saying. They could. I mean, have you guys seen deepfakes before?
Yeah, I get that, but have you seen the
way better than anything?
Yeah, but did you see the CGI they use in Ravager? You think they're gonna be able to do good CGI to bring Angus in?
Well, I mean, the thing with Ravager though is like it wasn't developed as an actual movie. Like they started off by doing it. They were filming bits here and there, trying to do a web series, and then they decided last minute that they were going to do it as a movie. And I think it would have been a lot better if Coscarelli directed Ravager instead of David Hartman.
Yeah, I believe that's true. That's the only one he didn't direct.
I honestly feel like it would have been better. Like the story, like at the beginning and like almost through the middle, like I was liking the story. It was literally just the CGI killed it for me. And it made it hard to watch. Because, like, at the beginning, Reggie's driving his car. The spheres are CGI, and they look good. Like, the shadows are following him on the road. Everything looks nice. But then it gets to the kills, and it's just CGI blood splatters. And it doesn't have impact hitting people.
What do you think of the story? I mean, the story's what's important.
Well, I liked the story in Ravager up until about halfway, because it started dealing with Reggie having Alzheimer's, and is Reggie crazy this entire time? Like, I kind of liked where it was going.
For a second, I haven't seen Ravager.
I haven't seen the movie, but isn't it very big and epic? And
it tries to be.
It probably would have.
That's where the CGI
dollars or something like that.
Yeah,
like they probably just couldn't have done it practically because of the scale or the stuff happening in it. I remember the trailer looked very, very extravagant. It looked big.
Mm-hmm. I could see that being a problem, but I mean, I feel like there's always a workaround to do it. There's
Yeah, I
other
mean, you gotta
ways.
be.
There's other
That's the
ways to present what's happening without actually showing it.
Then you make a movie.
I
Hey,
mean, that's the cool thing about that first movie is how innovative things that they did and things they
Mhm.
tried to make things even in the charm of that and like the movie. I talk poorly about it, but like the look of it is great. I love the look of the film, the original. I love the sound design. I love the music.
the score is amazing.
Um, the just the atmosphere of the whole thing. When you watch Phantasm, me, it's all about being a part of that atmosphere that he creates. And his like the sequels felt more like your normal movies. Like part two and part three feel like fun. They feel like the movies of those times. Uh, but I think what Phantasm, because I think Phantasm is not some exceptional film of the '70s, but I think it stood out because of that uniqueness that he brought, that creativity, the whole again the spheres and the
Hmm.
just the awkwardness, the sounds, I don't know. There's just something about the movie. I can't think of anything else like Phantasm.
I
I
feel
think that
well. See,
No.
when I was watching, it, like I kept feeling like if it was planned out more and like it actually had like story beats that made sense, like I feel like it could have compared to Nightmare on Elm Street because you dealing with dreams, you're dealing with different realities, and like after finishing Phantasm, like if there was more like a solid story, I could see that being something that like they're in the same kind of world idea
Hmm.
than compared to Freddy and like Jason or something.
now I remember the inspiration for the film. What he wanted to do originally was he wanted to make something wicked this way comes. That was somebody told him he should do that if he's going to do a horror movie. So there's you can see the roots of something wicked this way comes in that movie. Um, the tall man being kind of Mr. Dark,
Hmm.
and there's something going on in the town that the adults and other people aren't aware of, and the kids are trying to convince the adults of it. Um, the people being taken over, um, being shrunk down, all that. So um, that was the other one I was trying to remember what was a big influence on it, because they found out that Disney was already producing the movie for that, but that was what they wanted to do.
Gabriel Diaz says it's time to reboot it.
No.
Right said no.
Not every movie needs a reboot. I just leave it alone.
I wouldn't
I,
mind
I
it, but I would say leave it alone just because of CGI.
it's
I
not the CGI. The reason I want to leave it alone is because it doesn't need to be rebooted ever. It's what it is. It's fine where it is. It never needs to be rebooted. Not everything needs a reboot. I don't want a Phantasm reboot ever. I'm sure it's inevitable, but I don't think it needs to be. It's fine the way it is. Um, and yeah, I know they'll probably overuse. It's going to get poorly received because Angus isn't the tall man, and it's just like Freddy,
yeah.
and he's actually the face of the franchise. I mean, Reggie's not. Reggie is, like I said, like the anchor, but the tall man is the face of the franchise, and you can't change the face of the franchise without people complaining. Am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah, it
But
just made me think about
No.
what's interesting about that series is it's not based around a final girl or anything like that.
mhm.
It's one of the few of that era that is not female driven.
It's not your average
About
horror series at
no, it's
all.
about brothers. It's about
Friendship.
brothers literally and
Friendship.
brothers friendship wise, and
It's
um,
funny. The very first line in the first movie is, "What a way to end a trio,"
yeah,
and it's funny because they end up becoming a trio again anyway with Mike. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he
it's
was talking about the
totally about
band.
friendship, really, huh?
He was talking about their band.
Well, but still, I
Yeah.
mean, think about the
Metaphorically.
word trio. Yeah,
Yeah, well, they go back to that line in at the end of Ravager too,
yeah.
when Reggie joins up with Jody and Mike again in the car, and he's like, "Hell of a way to begin a trio" or something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. It's about those three, and then the tall man's just the face of the franchise. I recommend seeing Ravager if you like the series. I think I was dreading seeing that one myself whenever Joe Bob did it. I was like, let's do this, open up a 6-pack. I don't drink, but this is a 6-pack of bottled water. Um, but you know, it definitely didn't feel like it ended on a way to end the series, because it still seems like there's fight left. So I feel like there could be, and I would welcome a sixth, but never a reboot. I would never want a reboot or remake or whatever.
How could we have a sixth part without Angus though?
Well, yeah, and that's what you missed.
Yeah, you were gone when we were talking about that. I said they could in 4 there's a dream sequence where like Mike is becoming the tall man, so they could go that route. Like it was part of Angus, like tall man's overall plan or something.
Trying to pass the torch.
Yeah, and I mean, they could always, say that Morningside, the actual Morningside that went through was the host to this, and then maybe eventually his body died, and which activates Mike as the new tall man, maybe a new host.
But the only thing that doesn't make sense with that is apparently tall man has bajillions of himself.
Yeah, he just
maybe they all die with the host.
I don't think there's a need for a reboot on that series. I don't think it would. I'm not so certain it would make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those series. It's a cult classic. It's not. It was never Nightmare on Elm Street. It was never Friday the 13th. It was never.
And it was never meant to be either, though.
No, it wasn't meant to be, but it never really reached that that level. It's one of those movies you have to be into horror in many ways to be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not mainstream.
That's for sure. Gabriel Diaz says Mike's purpose was never answered. It went no place, but we are dealing with a series with alternate timelines and dimensions covering, converging around the characters. It's like Lost Highway. That's a good point.
Lynch's Lost Highway?
I guess so. But I've never seen that, honestly.
David Lynch's, yeah.
I was wondering if Don would even be interested, or if he since he's have control of it, does he own everything? Does he? Would that be something he'd even care to do, or to reboot?
That's a good question to ask him. I'll ask him. No. That would be, I don't know. I didn't feel satisfied, not satisfied, but like I didn't feel like it was a satisfied ending, but it was also, I know two of you haven't seen it, but the ending kind of could be left up to your imagination at the same time. But I would like to see an actual ending to the series. I mean, 6 is a better number than 5 in my opinion. But Gabriel Diaz also wants to remake the movie himself. Do it.
So good.
I'm not a reboot guy, but if you do a Netflix series, and see, everybody keeps going to a Netflix series with yeah, I don't think Phantasm's ever been popular enough to garner a Netflix series. They've never put the show or the movies on Netflix.
So much is tied into those people and those actors, and I mean, parts were written for actors, and they were like his repertoire company. They like Reggie and Mike and Angus had done Kenny and Company, and Angus had been in Jim the World's Greatest, and Reggie I think had been in it. So much of that, it's like a rock band. It's like can you break them up? I mean,
trio.
when they did recast Michael in the second one, I think the second one's really good, but I think there's a little taint on that movie because of Michael's absence. It doesn't. Maybe people don't appreciate it as much, or I don't know. I don't know how people feel about Part 2. I like Part 2 a lot.
Part 2 seems to be the fan favorite.
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
it's my favorite as well.
Was that the one that was out of print for a long time, or number 4?
No, Scream Factory released that one.
Well, I mean, like back when before Scream Factory, like
2 and 3 were out of print because actually, for a long time, I only had 1 and 4 because they were both put out by MGM, and 2 and 3 weren't released on DVD yet. I eventually was able to get them when they got released.
I was wondering if it was Part 2.
Talking about favorite, I don't have a favorite of the series because it's hard. It's the continuous story. It's each chapter in A Nightmare on Elm Street is almost its own story. These keep just kind of going,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of pick up right after where the last one left off. It's hard to. I did a ranking of the series of the 5 movies, and it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1 being the best. I'm not a huge fan of 2. I like 2. It's definitely. I think it's a for its time, 1988. I know who was it? Was it, who released 2? What studio was that?
Universal.
Universal. They were trying to. Universal was trying to get a horror series, and so they bought the rights to Phantasm, I believe, and
Like they did
it
with
didn't do
Halloween. They just like buy up these movies and like, let's try to get some money out of this stuff.
Yeah,
You know?
that's what. And they're trying, and it didn't work.
I mean, I like
Nobody.
2. I remember 2 was really cool because I liked the whole thing of Reggie and Mike hunting him and going cross country and loading up and with all the blowtorch and the guns and all that, and then the finding where he's been is really cool. Like, oh, he's been here. They find the whole empty cemetery and all that. That's
Mm-hmm.
really cool stuff. And then I just like the innovation with the spheres. The saw going into the guy, and then the grave digger guys with the gas masks, and
Yeah,
the hitchhiker girl, and there's a lot of cool stuff. And then just the way the tall man dies at the end, where he's all melting and with the acid being
that
injected.
was great. That's a great effects scene.
Yeah, like I told you, I think it was last week where we talked. I remember getting my first Fangoria magazine in '88, and I think that was on the cover of Angus with all the melting neck with the yellow blood and everything.
No, I think
So
4
we got
was my favorite.
Of all of
Three is
them,
just a lot of fun. I like the kid, the little Home Alone kid,
Yeah.
and the,
Yeah.
the gray stone chick with the
I think I
nunchucks
like
and-
3 a lot. I love the chick with the nunchucks, and it opens with her and her friend, and you think, oh cool, got 2 more people. Then right away they kill off the friend with the ball. So
almost feels like a Stephen King TV movie kind of thing.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It absolutely does.
It feels like The Stand Part 2 or something.
Especially with the little gangster team, the
Yeah.
lady, and yeah, I can see that for sure. I like them all for the most part. I mean, I think Ravager probably is the weakest of the 3, but for 5, wow. Sorry, I was trying to share our thing on Twitter. Anyway, I do think it's the weakest of the 5, but man, there's each one of them to me has many strengths. I love the storyline in 5 with Reggie, and is he the crazy one like Keith was saying? I love all the flashback stuff from 4, and I love what they do with the tall man, going back into the past kind of thing. Like,
Mm.
that whole thing was wonderful. And then 3 is like a just weird. It's the way it starts with the ball coming out of the lady's head. It's so cool. That's another thing. There are some great effects in this
Yeah.
series before they get to the CGI stuff.
I think it's part.
Especially.
I think it's part 2 where the guy's got the ball coming out of his face. So it like goes in the back of his head and drills all
It
the way
goes
through
through
the
his
front.
body and it's stuck in his mouth.
Yeah, it's stuck. Like trying to move.
Which was really, really cool. Like, yeah, I like, and even in the first one, I mean, when you first see the ball, even though they got a wire and it's just a reverse and the ball's coming, it sells, it works. It's completely, and just that first guy getting it and the blood's shooting out of it, it was just, I think people saw that movie in '79 and went, wow, that's different. That's
I wonder if Sam Raimi saw that movie and was like, I need to do is shoot blood out of things.
he was already shooting Evil
Cabin in the
Dead
Woods.
then, right? Yeah.
Within the Woods.
They shot Evil Dead in '79, didn't they?
Yes.
Didn't get released until '81.
Yeah,
So
but there
they-
wasn't as much blood spraying until the second one, I'd say, right?
Well, at
No.
the end of Evil Dead 1, doesn't he get a lot of blood shot all over him? And
Yeah.
I remember. I don't watch that one very often.
I mean, yeah, part 2 goes even further.
Oh yeah, it goes. Yeah, for sure.
No, I think 4 was my favorite. I like 3 and 4 the most out of all of them. But I really liked 4. Like I liked the whole Mike having the spear inside of his head and his eyes turning, and like just it was almost like I was watching somebody like realizing they were force sensitive and they were trying to figure out their new abilities. Like that's what it felt like to me. And then I watched 5 and I was like, no, go back. I want more of what was going on with Mike. I think that's what bothered me because like I loved
You
his.
didn't get what you wanted.
I
Just
loved,
like a Star Wars. So there's a lot of
Yeah, I
parallels.
know,
to
just
Star
like
Wars.
Star Wars.
Just like a Star Wars fan, you didn't get what you wanted.
I mean, I understand what Keith's saying there, though, because I mean, after the ending of Oblivion, you know, we waited, I don't know, what, 20 years for part 5.
Just
and
about, yeah.
Is there a
Oblivion
reason
ended
why it
with
took so
that-
long?
What's that?
Is there a reason why they took so long to make 5? Like they just run out of
They were
funding?
trying to get it off the ground for a long time. Originally, I believe it was supposed to be called Phantasm's End, and you just could never get funding for it. I mean, they're super low
That
budget.
script out there?
Does anybody know anything about the Tarantino Phantasm movie?
What? That sounds
He wants to make
awesome.
everything, doesn't he?
I remember a time when I think him and Avery were working on a script for a Phantasm movie.
That sounds great.
I don't know what came of it. I just remember hearing about it.
So he wants to make a Star Trek, a Phantasm. What else?
Yeah. Avery was he was attached to Phantasm's End. That was the script that he was going to do, and I believe they were going to have Bruce Campbell in it too.
Oh Lord!
Don't tell me these things.
It's supposed to be like a soldier or something like that. I'm going off memory though. This is like years ago.
This all sounds amazing.
It was like 95, 96 when all that was being stirred around.
Yeah, but I mean, like what Keith was saying though, just because the way Oblivion ends on that cliffhanger with the sphere coming out of Mike's head and he's on the ground and Reggie tells him I'll be back and he goes through, you know, the
portal.
Whatever, I can't fucking speak. But he goes through there and he disappears and he says I'll be back, and you know, it's such a big cliffhanger. And then when I watched Ravager, I was expecting it to pick up from that because
that's how all the movies do.
Yeah. And they didn't, and I enjoy Ravager. I especially liked all the stuff with Reggie and having dementia and all that, but it didn't really fulfill what I was looking for to conclude the series with where part 4 picked up. But I mean, I can't complain because after many years, I didn't think we were going to get anything. So I thought Phantasm 4 was the end for a long time. So
well, we're fans. We can complain. That's the whole point about being a fan.
Fans with a PH.
Yeah.
I really liked Mike's sphere. I really want a replica of it now.
I really liked the title treatment in the second and third movie when the music and the lighting hitting the Phantasm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really love that. The new treatment on that in the opening titles.
Yeah, there were some things I liked that they picked a name for the movies that went with the Roman numeral. Like I liked that towards the end, and also a car gets blown up in like every single movie.
Which Joe Bob doesn't like that.
Yeah, he didn't like that they blew up. I can't remember. Yeah, the Cuda. He was like, "Are they freaking high?"
Well, yeah.
Like, Joe Bob was not happy about that. I remember.
I think we've already decided that Don Coscarelli and company were high when they made the first movie.
It's quite possible. It was the 70s.
Yeah. I wouldn't be
around
surprised.
his parents so much, man. That's kind of.
Let's see.
His parents were so involved in that movie, which was actually really cool. They helped him and helped fund the movies, and I guess what we're saying is he's a rich kid.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. And I what was the documentary I watched? Oh, I mean, there may have been a documentary on the Blu Ray that talked about, or maybe it's an audio commentary.
See, I want to look at my special features. See, I want to look at my special features to see if there's like. So you guys know if any of the special features shows them like making the spheres?
No, the guy that made the spheres on the original was he passed away before.
Still unopened.
Finished. He made it for like $1,100. All the sphere stuff.
He passed away before the movie was finished.
Yeah, the guy that made them never got to see the final film.
Oh wow.
His work on it.
See, this is why you don't get rid of your DVDs. There are more features.
I like when they were trying to figure out how to handle the spheres because they kept lighting the spheres, and they realized no, you're supposed to light what's reflecting into the sphere. And then they built like a fake wall so they could put a little hole, put the camera in there so they could reflect the crew.
So you wouldn't see any of the crew.
Yeah. It's I'm
Yeah, I
sure
bet
it
that
was
was a
a
bitch.
learning experience. Yeah, yeah.
No, because
But
I
that's
would
what's really cool.
yeah, because I would just like to see like how they made like just behind the scenes of like how they did some of the shots, like especially like
Yeah.
in 3 where like the saw just pops out of the ball and he uses it to cut him. The kid uses it to cut himself free and stuff. Just like what hidden ways they were making things pop out of the ball, or was it stop motion or reverse footage?
Haven't read these yet, but have you guys checked these out? Phantasm Exhumed and Further Exhumed.
Yeah, I just read
Oh wow.
Exhumed, the writer Dustin. I tried to get him to come on the show. He says he's real busy, like his schedule. But he gave me that. I was actually in Chicago. They had a reunion, so Angus was there, and Reggie and Don and Michael were there, and I got to meet. He actually went over and introduced me to Angus because I had met Angus years earlier, but I never really got to talk to him. I got this really great picture of me meeting him because I gave him my first gig that like was fairly noticed was I did a Phantasm cover for Horror Hound magazine, so I gave him the original artwork. No, I gave Don the original artwork. I gave Angus a print, but yeah, Dustin's book. I just read the first 80 pages last night at work, which covers the whole first movie. And yeah, it's pretty in depth, and they talk about how they pulled things off. It goes like, it seems like there's a lot of Angus's personal journal. It seems like Angus kept a diary or journal while he made the movie. So there's a lot of inserts from Angus's day-to-day diary
Nice.
while working on the film, which is alone enough for that book for you to buy if you want to check out what Angus had to say from his perspective. But the book kind of breaks down, kind of the schedule. He must have had the schedule or something because it goes through schedule. On this day they shot this. On that day they shot again. Independent filmmaking. They were shooting on weekends. So that's why it took a long time too because unfortunately you have to kind
Doing
of
it
do
when
that.
people were free.
Yeah, when people are free, when you can get people, or when a location's open, or when the money's there, or when the props are ready, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, that book is really. I haven't read the other one, but I did read the beginning of the Exhumed.
Yeah. I haven't read them yet either. My girlfriend got them for me for Christmas. She knows that I watch Phantasm movies all the time. I'm a big fan of the series, and she realized that I didn't have any Phantasm stuff, so she did that, and then she made me a wall clock with a painting of the tall man on it for work. So I got that hanging above my desk.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think it's gonna take a while for me, but I've already had the plan to go rewatch all of them with like commentary on, just because I want to further understand some things. Like I said, I really liked 3 and 4 for the most part. Like I liked where it was going, but
This little compendium that came with my Welgo series has a lot of cool information too. It's unfortunate this is out of print, I believe. But this
I know my box set has a book in it, but I don't know what's in it.
there's a lot of cool, great stuff in there too. I was just thumbing through it again. I haven't looked at it since I got it, but there's a lot on each character and behind the scenes photos. It's a little book that came with the set, but there's a lot of cool stuff in there. If you can get your hands on it, I recommend. Plus, it's got a poster, which I never opened.
Phantasm copy I have. I think it may have been. Did Anchor Bay put one out? Is that one I have? I can't remember what it is. It has the original poster on the cover. Yeah, that's the one I have, the Anchor Bay one. That does have like the home videos, home movies of behind the scenes on there, and it has a documentary feature.
This has got a ton of special features, which the new Blu Ray does not.
It's got a really cool interview with Don and Angus on a TV show in '79, talking about it for quite a bit, like a half hour long interview with them. So yeah, that one has some pretty good supplement stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
The commentary, I think it was for the Laserdisc. It was pretty good. It had Don and Michael and Angus. It's so funny to listen to him because Angus he's got such a great voice, or even a radio voice, a speaking voice, that it almost sounds like he's separated, like he's got a better mic or something because he just sounds so good when he speaks.
He's a journalist too. I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
He had a really interesting, like he was a writer. I read he was writing. He went to work for I think Capitol Records and was writing liner notes and albums, and actually won like
Yeah.
a Grammy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, he interesting dude.
All right, so some Facebook stuff here. Amber Foster says, "What about a cartoon spin-off for kids?" Okay. My daughter would probably really enjoy that.
Oh, yeah.
Leah says unpopular opinion, but 2 is my fave. I don't think that's unpopular. I honestly think that's the fan favorite. People may say unpopular, but I think there are people that like that more than the first one.
I would think it's just
uh,
loyal to Michael Baldwin because he has such a
Yeah.
presence. But yeah, outside of that, part 2 is probably my favorite.
It's the most linear of all the movies, too, I think. And then Gabriel says 3 sucks balls. I think you're wrong. I'm looking right in the camera. I think you're wrong.
I didn't know this.
Catherine Caroline says the second one and the third one are her favorites.
I didn't know this, but this has a new director's cut with additional gore for Phantasm 2 in it.
I just saw today that I guess Arrow's putting out a new box set with Gary Pullin did all the artwork for it. I saw it on his Facebook page.
Gary, I think that's is it newer or older? Because he did one a couple years ago. We put all the art up on Facebook or something like that.
Well, maybe it was a memory post then. I don't know.
It could have been.
Yeah. Maybe.
It might be the older like marble set. I think that was Arrow. They had like a black and a white marble.
They were all white.
Like yeah, there's
white. A white theme.
I'll go to thehorrorsyndicate.com and see.
Yeah, this has got a big bonus disc in it.
Maybe that's it. The one you got there. Is that Arrow?
No, this is Well Go USA. This one came out this year. It came with the Phantasm ball.
I want to get one of those. That's what I've been. It's like I don't have a limit configuration, and I don't have one of the spheres.
I almost bought a configuration at Horror Hound last year, but I didn't pull the trigger on it.
After doing these 2,
I was the same way.
I really want one now. Both of them.
I need both of those myself.
Well, I mean, if you want like a new set of Phantasm, I mean, you could just get this. This isn't the best ball ever. Like you can see a big seam line going across, and it's like a plastic silver.
What was the whole set?
Were they like that?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that old.
Came out in 2017. Some pretty cool.
Okay, he must have been his memories here.
Yeah, because this was posted on our site in April of 2017.
Yeah, that's his art. Yeah,
they are really cool. Like that. Remember that one?
This thing is a fingerprint magnet.
Yeah, that was for Arrow releasing. Really cool stuff. And that sucks, man. The Phantasm sets, the big ones, they go and they're really fast.
Well, this one, I just checked on Best Buy the other day to see, because I don't know if it was limited or not, but these are still in stock on Best Buy.
How much are they?
$100.
It's got a new transfer of part 2, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got a unrated director's cut with added gore. But it's got
I don't think mine has that.
It says new in here. Like it says new for this set.
Hey, put that up. Let me take a look at the box.
The box? Well, it's not on the back. Like each movie has its own.
No, I just want to see the box art for the whole. Oh, is it all separate discs?
Yeah, it's all separate discs. Each movie has its own disc, but like the front of it, when you first open it, has all the movie covers by itself, and then each one you open, it has like all the information, what's new.
Yeah, I don't think this one has
the
alternate.
This has a bunch of new stuff.
It comes with my set comes with these reversible
sleeves.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah,
each one of them it looks like this with a different sphere.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. Anyway, and the discs.
They're getting better sets than the bigger movies.
Yeah. Well, the thing I was shocked about this is I don't like these booklet styles, but this is like high quality like material.
Those are the media books from Europe.
Yeah, like they didn't use like cheap ass cardboard, and like they're actually like thumb screwed, like tacked together.
Yeah, like I've done a bunch over in Germany and France. I mean, these guys sent. I did some Monster Squad ones.
Monster Squad.
Some of my art inside right there, and I've done a bunch over in Germany, and yeah, they're just so nice. They got the booklets and everything. They sent me like a bunch of their catalog just for thanks. But
I need a Monster Squad Blu-ray.
I
Does that Monster Squad have English audio, or is it all dubbed?
let's see. I got two. They gave me two versions of it. I got these two. Um,
Because if they got English audio, I'm gonna look them up.
there's this. It says English.
Sweet.
No,
No.
man, I can't read it. It's in German.
Oh, okay.
But there's English and German and English and German.
Okay, yeah.
I
It's
don't know.
probably audio and subtitles.
Okay.
I've had to go through two menus lately to change audio to English on like German Blu-rays.
Well, they got me one with Graham Humphreys. We were talking about him on
Oh,
the Hammer movies.
yeah. I've redone like all my wallpaper to Graham Humphrey. But no, like each one of these movies in this set has something new, except okay, not all of them. Okay, the first two have new stuff. And then the bonus disc has like Phantasmagoria?
Phantasmagoria.
Yeah.
Phantasmagoria.
And then Phantasmagorical Mystery Tour with Reggie. Phantasm Genesis. A comic recap of the first 4 Phantasm films by Phantasm Ravager director.
Gabriel Diaz says, I have the box set. The ball is terrible, but I just really wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
the ball's not that great.
It looks like a Christmas ornament, kind
There
of.
is a cheaper way to get Phantasm. You get the 5 movies on DVD in one little set for about $10 on Amazon or Walmart.
Yeah.
Over to
That's
Walmart
what I have.
when the quarantine's over. Yeah, it's not a bad set. It looks fun. My brother-in-law got that one. I just don't like the way they're packaged. Actually, Jared, yours might have been different. His was, you open up the box and they're all stacked in one set.
Ugh.
That's what I have.
Yeah, I can't do that. That pisses me off.
That's how my Puppet Master set is.
So anyway, I think we're gonna go ahead and do some final thoughts and do a quick convo about what we should talk about on Thursday, because we're gonna do another show on Thursday. So any final thoughts on Phantasm, the movie or the series, Seth?
I don't know. I mean, like I said earlier, I love these movies. I watch them a lot. I don't really care if I don't understand them. They're just kind of fun. I love Reggie. I love Mike. I really like, how it's driven by their friendship and their bond. So it's kind of different than most horror movies, as I think Nathan was saying earlier. It's a good series. It's not, one of the best horror series ever, but it's one that I go to a lot because they're just fun to watch.
Yeah.
And usually when I watch them, I watch part 2 first because that's my favorite. And then I have to do 3, and then I do 4, then I do 5, and then I go back and I do the first one. It's a weird order that I do, but
with all the alternate timelines and dimensions, who knows what the real order is, right?
True.
All right, Nate, what about you? Final thoughts on Phantasm?
Well, I'm glad we did it because it gave me a chance to watch the first movie again. I've watched it like 3 times, like twice without commentary, once with reading Dustin's book, and I have a more appreciation for it. I don't feel it belongs in the like greatest of the 70s horror. Some people were throwing it out on our decade thing. I do think it's in that top 15, 20 of the 70s, but not like top 10 or best or whatever, because of the, again, he was 23 years old, and and so I can forgive the problematic filmmaking, but they are so unique, and there's enough good and enough original and enough interesting in that first movie that I see why it became the cult classic it is. Because it does have a lot of good in it, and again, I think, like we said, the chemistry and the camaraderie of the characters, the love, the support of Reggie and Mike. When he at the end of Phantasm 1 says, "I'll try to do my best to be like to be Jody, to take Jody's place." To you believe Reggie because of how likable he is, anyway. But just you have fun watching him. You have fun watching Reggie, like you said, he's the glue. Like I love watching him in part two. I love watching him, especially in part three, where he's on his own hunting Mike.
Mhm.
That's what I love about part three a lot, because it's really Reggie, and watching him, because he's got big personality. Um, but I do love that brotherhood thing. That brother, again, it's not something I can think of any other horror series that's like that, is there? I mean, it's all usually, well, there's a damsel in distress, or the final girl's going to stand up, or whatever. But this is a movie about that brotherhood. The kid lost his, and I guess it would have to do. I think this movie would probably connect to people who've lost somebody, because the movie is very much about loss and dealing with death and
Yeah.
how we deal with it, and that's what inspired him. So I think that's what makes it also special, because it does touch on that, about how much Mike wants Jody. You know, is Jody dead, or is how he's dealing with it, or these wishful thinking dreams that he's having, or of Mike or Jody still being around, or what is that what the movie is? That's what's really cool about the movies. And again, it's the same filmmaker, same storyteller, telling this big epic story, where it's not just some other filmmaker coming in, or other writers and writing their own direction and their own thing. It's like it's a family thing. When I read the book about the makings of it, there's a family orientation there with Angus and Reggie and Don and Mike. I think that's the sad thing about the second one. Even though we love the second one, that Michael Baldwin wasn't involved, because there is such a family thing about that franchise, that a lot of people kept working together even before Phantasm. They all kind of came up
The early 70s.
yeah, they all came up in the early '70s doing Jim and Kenny and company, and just they just kept tagging along because of Don's enthusiasm, and I guess because they genuinely liked each other and genuinely
Yeah.
learned to love one another, and you kind of see that in the movies, and that's how I feel about the Phantasm. It's family. I guess that would be the word, not just on screen,
So it's
but
more like
behind screen.
Phantasm.
Phantasm.
Family tasm.
Phantasm.
Rather get that as a make a
Like,
make
I
a
don't
D.
think they were made for money.
We're gonna make a horror syndicate shirt. This is
Yeah.
Phantasm.
I'll
with-
say we
with
need to get decals that says the Phantasm, and it's got like
Phantasm.
the family stick figures, but it's the tall man as the dad.
That's actually a good idea. I like it. Sorry, Nate. I didn't mean to throw you off.
No.
Oh.
That's all I have to say.
All right, Jared. Any final thoughts?
The first film was probably one of the most original horror films I've probably seen ever. Like, just the way it was presented. Like, it was weird when I saw the first one. I didn't see any of the sequels until probably the last 5-6 years ago, maybe. So I mean, the first one was always there for me. Everybody likes the second one, the third one. Third one is probably like the funnest of all of them, in my opinion. But just as far as the storyline and like not knowing what the fuck is going on, like it still sits in my mind as one of the most original horror films I've seen in ever. Like not in a long time, ever.
Right up there with A Nightmare on Elm Street.
I mean, it's I don't know. Like we've discussed earlier, like it doesn't still hold up to the heavyweights, but I mean, it's still up there. Like it's one of the most underappreciated franchises of all of horror.
I think you're right about that.
Mhm.
I think it's definitely a top 100 horror film, maybe.
Oh yeah, I would say that.
I don't know if we'll see. You got any more, Jared, or can we move on to the youngster?
Go for it.
The youngster.
You just watched all 5 movies.
I
within
did.
a couple days. So give us some final thoughts.
I don't want anybody to think I hate them. I don't hate them. I'm just not.
Hashtag Phantasm.
I'm not in love with them. But like everybody else has said, there's things I like about them. I like the effects. I love the tall man. I like the spear. I like Reggie. Like I like those characters.
No. We love Reggie.
I love
on.
Reggie.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's got to give him love. He gets cock blocked every freaking movie.
It's hot like love.
I there's things I like about them, and something I think maybe they could do is what if we got like a comic for what was supposed to happen after Oblivion, like they were doing with, was it Bright or Return of the Night of the Living Dead or Return of the Living Dead? They just did a comic book for their fourth movie or whatever it was supposed to be. Maybe
not like Necropolis or whatever.
yeah, maybe we could get a comic book for what they actually wanted to do, like right after Oblivion.
Yeah.
Like, I would like that just because, like,
maybe we can get a script breakdown from Seth.
yeah, if you can find it, I would like that. I mean,
yeah.
I think that's the reason I was more upset than anything was, like 3 and 4, like actually got me invested with the story, especially 4, and then it just didn't. It didn't get continued from there. I just. It
just sound like a Star Wars fanboy. They
butt
set
hurt
all
me.
this stuff up in the Force Awakens and destroyed it.
Yeah, that is exactly what I said.
Damn you, Ryan Johnson.
Apparently, there is a comic. Gabriel says.
Oh, really?
Is it just a comic book about Phantasm, or is it like an actual continuation?
I thought I read something about or something about comics that came out between the first and the second movie.
Really?
Wrong.
It was supposed to be 4 issues, but only 1 was ever released.
That's
so
super
more things I could read that I'm not gonna get a conclusion to.
So they either didn't sell or they never had the rights to put them out.
John Coscarelli has enough money to publish the comic. It can make 4 issues of a comic. It costs about $8,000. Come on,
he should kickstart it. I mean,
he could. I mean, I would support it.
Yeah.
All right. Are you all done then? You good to go? You hate Phantasm? Hashtag Phantasm.
Phantasm. We need to talk about this decal.
Hashtag Phantasm decal. We'll talk to Richard about that. If he's going to be sending out Horror Syndicate decals to the people who are active writers, Nate. So I'll send him your address. So you can get a Horror Syndicate decal. Put it on the back of your car if you want.
Coscarelli wrote the comics, so
did he?
Okay.
Maybe they just.
I know some artists.
Just maybe never sold.
I know an artist that might be able to. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Yeah. So if Don Coscarelli approached you to do a Phantasm comic, you'd say no?
I don't know, man, because I did the Behind the Mask, and it took so much time to do. Of course, I was making a film and doing other things, so it was it's really.
Then you do everything. You do pencils, inks, and colors, right?
Yeah, I did the whole thing. I did, and so if I had it spread out, maybe, but comic books are just, to me, it's a young man's game. Like, you gotta have nothing else going on but that and doing that because it's so time consuming.
But how about a single?
I liked it, but after a while, I was ready for it to be done. Even though I was getting to draw Robert Englund and Scott Wilson and other people every day, it was just like when I was done, I was happy because it just I hate owing people work. And when you do comics, you're just constantly owing somebody page after page after page, and it just becomes. And I mean, I don't know if Phantasm would be that fun to draw. I mean, might be because Leslie Vernon was like, so it's mostly talking. It's mostly people having a conversation because it's a talking head documentary, mockumentary thing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It didn't get action packed until the third act or the final act.
Just think of all this
comic.
Just think about all the sphere configurations you can draw.
I bet Don was awesome. Don was actually really cool when I did that cover for Horror Hound. He reached out and wanted to put it on his website for the official site and wanted to. I think he wanted to use it for some kind of advertising or asked at least permission. So, and when I met him, I gave him the original artwork. Told him, he said, "Oh man, yeah, I love this." And he gave me a copy of Beastmaster on Blu Ray autographs because that was a movie I watched like 1,000 times. Like
love that movie.
Yeah, I love Beastmaster. And but yeah, Don was really. I would work with Don. He seems like a really cool guy. Again, that's why so many people came back to those movies is because of him and how much they liked him and enjoyed.
They all seem like really good guys, though. I mean,
yeah,
Michael Baldwin, Reg, and everybody. Angus.
Yeah. So who knows? I'll do some covers. I can manage that.
Hashtag Phantasm. I'm gonna keep saying that. Anyway, yeah, I love the series myself. It's fun. It's goofy. I think Reggie is 100% underrated as a horror hero. You hear about Final Girls and Ash all the time. Where's the love for Reg? The
Yeah,
Regiment.
He should be.
Oh.
He should be. I love
Reg
Reg.
is the ultimate final girl.
He's not a girl. He's a hero. He's a womanizer. First of all,
Or
first
just-
and foremost, he's a womanizer.
We're just
He's a
keeping with
woodsman.
continuity. He can't get love.
If we're in this Leslie Vernon, back to that, he's the woodsman.
But yeah, I think Phantasm everybody should give a fair shot to. I think it's a great series. The first one's great. The second one's great, and I think for the most part they're all pretty good. Next week, we're gonna tackle another movie probably next Tuesday. We'll get to that later. If you have anything you'd like us to talk about for Thursday's show, that's kind of we're going to do movies on the early episodes of the week, and then we're going to do kind of like a free for all on this topic. So if you have any suggestions, I know Gabriel said something about the Nightmare on Elm Street series. We've talked about that quite a bit anyway. I don't know if that's something we want to tackle just yet. It's obviously.
Yeah, if
What's
we ever do
that?
Nightmare, I'd like to do like a film episode, like focus on one or something.
Just
like
one
that.
film.
Yeah, because it's so big.
So we'll focus on Freddy's Dead next week.
Nice.
I agree with
You know
that.
how to do that?
I could talk nightmare movies all day long. Nightmare is my favorite series in horror, period. And I mean, obviously, Nate has a love for it. If you just kind of take a peek at his background,
I like that we're covering movies that I didn't have such an obsession with.
and that's what I want to do.
Yeah,
And
and I
next
get
week.
appreciation for them even more.
Yeah. So pick a movie for next week, Nate. Something you haven't seen in a while, and we'll do that for next week. But for Thursday, what are you guys thinking about talking about? Well, we'll ask you out there on Facebook what you think we should talk about for sure. But we're up for just about anything. Last week we talked about how great practical effects were and how much we missed them versus CG, and we talked about some of our favorite practical effects scenes. If you go back, that's on YouTube and here on Facebook. It's a pretty good episode, about 2 hours long, but we're long-winded folks. So, but yeah, we'll put a post out on Facebook. Let us know what you want to hear. Nate, seriously, pick a movie for next Tuesday, and we'll do that one. I'm laying it on your shoulders solely.
Hopefully it's something I have or I can watch for free somewhere.
I'll pick something that like is
Available.
Yeah, something that people have seen. I'm not gonna pick something
Obscure.
You know what movie I want to do, but I
That's the
feel
thing.
like
Hellraiser and Phantasm are huge titles, but they're not movies I watched again and again and again to where I knew them very well.
I want to cover
Good things about them.
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre eventually. Maybe even the series. I absolutely love that movie. And
It's
but
kind
I-
of a summer type
exactly. I was
episode.
gonna say I feel like it's more of a summer movie, as is Jaws.
I'll
Which
say.
is,
I'm
We need to do a quarantine movie.
I'm currently picking up the Massacre movies. I just ordered 3.
well, we could do another zombie flick. We talked about Romero movies, which I don't think you were part of that episode, Nate. The one you missed.
I think that's like the only one he wasn't on,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
I think so. Maybe. I don't know. Were you there for the Freddy's Dead episode? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he was there for that. He wore his Freddy Dead glasses.
yeah, I did that one.
Okay. Anyway, join us on Thursday. We'll be probably same time-ish. I'm guessing 7:30, 8 o'clock. And we'll have a cool topic. Hopefully a follower topic. One of you guys will let us know what to talk about because we want to know what you want to talk about because you guys are going to talk about it with us. So in the meantime, don't forget to follow us on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Or if you're watching on Facebook, go to YouTube and hit the subscribe button so we can get more subscribers because we're all about collecting things, especially Keith. Anyway, have a great evening for Nate, Keith, Seth, and 2016 Jared, and myself. Thanks for joining us on the Horror Syndicate Discourse. We'll see you on Thursday.